Hello, everybody. My name is Dean of the InkGuild, and I just wanted to say a quick word before we begin today's episode. So, we have been doing this project since May, and it started out originally, if you had been keeping up to date, it's been a passion project for us, basically. Like, we have been doing this kind of for fun since then, and while we all still enjoy working on the podcast, or while we all still enjoy creating content together, it is still a little bit challenging with our schedules and whatnot. So I just wanted to say that we are still in school. Well, a good majority of us are, and trying to balance the two of them, especially for me because I edit a lot of the content that we have. I just thought I would explain it because there's been a lack of consistency with the projects. But on my end, at least, I've been trying to make it work. Because I really, I started this project with everyone because personally I felt like it would be a really good way of expressing our voices in a completely different way. And it has been a huge benefit for all of us. We've all become closer, not just through the project, but through just interacting with each other a lot more. And given the time frame that we started with COVID and everything, it's definitely something that has been a good highlight for all of us, and it's been a very big part of what's made 2020 not completely terrible. So yeah, I just wanted to quickly hop on and ramble a little bit and say that this is also, so the first 12 episodes that we have will be season 1. And I say season 1, it's basically, just for the playlists and whatever, but that just means that season 2 will be coming around soon. So expect more more of our usual shtick, kind of unscripted conversations from a bunch of creative writing friends, and that's how it will be, at least for podcast wise. I'm hoping to also delve into more creative projects eventually, but I'm not really sure when that's going to happen yet. We have a funny moments episode, and I love editing that, but it took quite a bit of time to do it, or to get it perfect at least. So the plan will be, I guess, just stay tuned. And I like to plug my stuff, or I like to plug stuff at the end. So follow us across all our social media. Keep in touch by following either all of us or maybe just a few of us in our social media below. And yeah, I guess just keep an eye out, because we're all excited to be delivering more content. So, with all that being said, let's get right into the episode.
Well, now we know how to get the energy up too. Talk about how to the bottom.
And there's our intro. Don't kink shame me, alright? I'm just trying to live.
Oh, now I'm gonna kink shame you even harder.
No!
I'm literally the opposite of that. I am telling you to embrace it.
Yes, you're the angel on my shoulder, Alex. I appreciate it. Gabe's just like the one on my other shoulder. He's not even the devil either. He's just there with some popcorn, occasionally throwing a kernel in my face.
Going, you bottom fuck.
Hi friends, welcome back to the InkGuild Podcast. This is part 2 of Gabe, Alex, and I's conversation on our 3 favorite characters, respectively. So in part 1, we talked about I guess as I've already mentioned, our three favorite video game characters, our three favorite characters from books, movies, TV shows, just any kind of character that exists, as long as it's not one that we created, just because we've already done our own episode on that. And continuing on with part 2, I think we'll just get our honorable mentions out of the way first. So for my honorable mention this time around is that's right, I noted down, I had a couple honorable mentions here, but I think my honorable mention is Mulan. Like, I guess she is still my favorite Disney princess, and I think she forever will be. She saved China. It's a big plus, and she's got some awesome side characters to go with her story. And I guess another thing, it's out of I know it's such a tangent, but like out of all of the live action trailers that I've seen for the live action remakes of these classic Disney movies, I think it was both Mulan's and Cinderella's that actually made me invest in it. I guess just because Mulan is the one that like means a lot more to me. I'm hoping that it does well, but that's its own thing. So yeah, my honorable mention is Mulan. Alex, do you have an honorable mention this time, or?
I do, yes. Not controversial character, but controversial series. Not to give any more attention to not Hatsune Miku, but my honorable mention this is Luna Lovegood from the Harry Potter. Luna is she's a fun character. She's smart and she's quirky, but she's also brave and cares about her friends a lot. She's got great fashion sense. She's always been one of my like favorite characters in Harry Potter. And just like in general, she's like definitely a character type that I am drawn to as well. Yeah. Cool.
Gabe, do you have an honorable mention, or?
I do, yeah.
Yeah.
This was a character who was originally going to be on my, but I said this is not really a character, but it kind of is. My honorable mention is Godzilla.
Yeah.
I don't have
that.
a deep justification for this. I don't have an introspective narrative for this.
I mean, if you're monster, like, you can kind of.
It looks cool as fuck.
Yeah, you can kind of like. Yeah, it's pretty simple. Like, we all know who Godzilla is, and we all love for Godzilla for who he is. So, all right. So, with honorable mentions out of the way, Alex, what are you laughing at?
Godzilla. See, there's definitely a leg. You guys don't believe me, but then you don't hear me for like full 5 seconds after I say something.
Oh, sorry. I guess Wi-Fi just hates all of us. It's not just me anymore. All right. I guess moving on to our actual list this time. I talked about in part 1 that, or I guess I'll start. So I talked about in part 1 that Nathan Drake was one of the 3 big PlayStation exclusive protagonists that got me hooked into playing video games a lot more seriously. Nathan Drake was one, Sackboy from Little Big Planet was another, and my first pick for this favorite characters list is the final person in that I guess like the 3 big characters is Kratos. So in a previous episode I talked about how Kratos from God of War has had a lot of significance on me, but I guess just to quickly rephrase, I played God of War as a kid, which I really shouldn't have considering what it is, but I played Chains of Olympus first, and that was my first introduction into God of War, and then I eventually played the other games, not in chronological order as a lot of people would have, but I guess eventually I found my way there. But essentially I had followed Kratos' journey from when he first rose to prominence, and like he's been, I think, one of my favorite video game characters since. Like, he has been like such an iconic character that I've always associated with PlayStation. Like, I couldn't really look away in that sense. I would always like, it's the same as how like people would associate Xbox to, or like Halo to Xbox. Like they're like it's like God of War is such a key identity to PlayStation, and it's such a key identity in how I guess in like how Kratos himself has shaped a lot of my creativity. Like he like his chained blades have been some of my favorite weapons ever. Like the look, or his look, is I guess very telling of the times because it's very masculine, very tunnel vision thinking person, but at the same time, like there was a lot of it was a simple story. Like it's like everyone knew the story of Kratos. Like he had like in exchange for winning against the barbarians, he had slain, or like he had taken up allegiance with the god of war Ares in Greek mythology. And like it's like a long epic saga that I can't really go into right now because I want to give my friends some more time. But like eventually, come the end of God of War 3, pretty much all of Olympus is destroyed, and Kratos, I think like everyone has kind of expected the story of Kratos to be finished then, but like I've said with Uncharted 4, the story continues. It evolves actually, and it takes Kratos to Norse mythology, where he like there's a lot more. Like it's evident that like when God of War 3 was released versus when God of War 2018 was released, like there's been such a huge shift, I think, in terms of like storytelling, because it's no longer just I guess like a man who like was seeking revenge the entire time. Like it's no longer just a revenge story anymore with Kratos. It was more of a like he's raising a son, and he is raising like he I guess in raising a son he is trying to be better than who he was, which is something that's like it hits home a lot for me, because like having seen this character grow up, or having seen this character as I was growing up, it's like I always associated Kratos as this like, but after God of War 2018, like it shows just how much development has been in this character. And Gabe, like you and I have talked about just how impactful God of War is as a story alone in a previous episode, but like as a character, and I guess especially as like who he is right now, there is so much honesty and I guess strength in Kratos right now as a father, because you kind of recognize where he's come from, and like not just me, like from anyone who has played the God of War games, and even people who haven't played them before, like that he has struggled through a lot, and that he is trying to like change his image, because it's not about him anymore, it's about his son. He wants to make a good example for his son, and a lot of people, I guess parents more so, can kind of attest to that. It's a really important message for, I guess it's just a really important message, and it echoes the sentiment from the game creators that have created this character and wanted to adapt him for a more mature audience, right? And I say mature audience, like, there's still a lot of violence and there's still a lot of blood and gore that goes into these games, but I mean mature in the sense that it's not just about that anymore. And I guess watching him grow, like watching him growing up, like playing as him and being this god killer, and knowing the direction that they're probably taking him in, like it has me excited, first of all, as a video gamer, or as a gamer, but I guess more so it's just like, how does this story, or how does Kratos' story continue, that has me so invested.
Mm-hmm.
So like I wanted to, like, I know I said that I wasn't going to try to focus too much time on talking about Kratos, because like I've talked about him numerous times before, but like he is a very important character to me. Like I could go on about like how he's influenced a lot of my creativity, like I've said earlier. Like I guess just like he really is, I guess, like one of the key benchmarks of adapting a story, and not just like a video game story, but like, you know, a famous book or a famous like movie or anything really, and knowing what your audience is currently wanting, right? It's understanding more about yourself and who you are marketing all of this to, right? Like, by the time God of War Ascension, which was I guess kind of like the last God of War game that was set in Greek mythology, by the time that had come out, a lot of people were kind of getting sick of that story, or I guess getting sick of reliving Kratos' story, and because we all knew how it all ended pretty much.
Yeah.
So
there'd been like God knows how many like prequels and spin-offs of Kratos just kind of doing stuff by that point.
Yeah, like, and because of God of War 3, everyone knows how the saga ends. So did you really need like another prequel? So
yeah.
Come God of War 2018, like everyone was excited, obviously, because it was the return of their, like, for some it was the return of their childhood god-killing badass, but to others, and I guess like for me, I kind of fit in both categories. For others, it meant a new adventure and a new story, and I guess just like a new Kratos in general. And how they've handled it so far, it is still to this day my favorite game of all time, and that's saying something because I've been playing games for a long time, but I don't think, like, gameplay wise, story wise, like character relationships, all that stuff, I don't think there's come a better game that's done it well than God of War so far.
Mm-hmm.
And you know what, like, I know that that's such a subjective thing, but like Kratos' story and like knowing how far it's come is polarizing, and I guess it's a nice treat for a lot of people like me who have been playing the game since Chains of Olympus or since God of War 1, that, you know, you've, like I said with Uncharted, you've grown up with the character, and like yourself, like your tastes, or the tastes in presenting this character, have changed. So yeah, I guess that's my first pick on it. I don't really have much else to say, so I'll hand it over to Alex. Alex, who is your first pick for this, or for part 2 of this series?
My first pick. Is this a series?
I don't know. We'll probably do more about it if we feel like it. But yeah, so part 2, first pick.
Yeah, my first pick for this episode is another character, a media that has been, I guess, reimagined many times, and that's Cheshire Cat from Alice in Wonderland.
You can, like, no one can see it, but I'm smiling because I love Cheshire Cat too.
Cheshire Cat's like one of my like long time favorite characters. Like, I think back to like when I was a small child and I loved Cheshire Cat. I have two plushies, one from Disneyland, one from the Disney store, like, that I just have in my room constantly. And I have like my keychain is also Cheshire Cat. Like, Cheshire Cat's like a longtime favorite character of mine, both from like the Disney animated movie and then also from Lewis Carroll's original books, Alice's Adventures in Wonderland. I don't remember if he was in the second one or not, and Through the Looking Glass or not, because it's been way too long since I've read them. But yeah, Cheshire Cat's a longtime fave of mine. I always thought he was a really fascinating character. First of all, this is not surprising to anyone who knows me, but I'm like a huge cat person. And so having like a cat as a character, I always thought was really cool. Like, as a kid, I loved books that had like talking animals in them, or like animals as people. And so I always thought like the Cheshire Cat for that reason. He's also like a really charming character, which, I mean, I've already said this, but like I tend to be drawn to like really charismatic characters, which I think Cheshire Cat counts as. But he's also like, it feels weird to say this about like a character from like something that's obviously child's media, but he's kind of an asshole.
I mean, if you're a prick, like, you're a prick. Like, there's no working around it.
Yeah, that's very true. He's like I feel like this is something that a lot of adaptations of Alice in Wonderland really struggle to get right, but the Cheshire Cat is a very selfish character. Like, he kind of shows up and like bugs Alice and like helps her a little bit, but for the most part he's just kind of there doing his own thing because he finds himself entertaining. And also he's a very entertaining character. Like, he can just like appear and disappear. He's got like the famous smile. His color scheme in like the Disney animated movie is also really fun. Gotta love the like pink and purple. Pretty sure I have a Cheshire Cat Halloween costume somewhere in my house as well.
That's pretty cool.
And a onesie. I have a onesie too. But yeah, he's just a really fun, charismatic character that I've loved for a really long time, and I'm having a really hard time explaining why.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like, I guess he's just one of those characters that like you love so much that kind of explaining it to, or I guess just like kind of explaining it is like, you know why he's cool, and anyone who already knows, or anyone who knows the same thing, like knows why he's cool. So it's like, why do I gotta say it again?
He's a very iconic character too. Like, I feel like I mean, Alice in Wonderland, like I said, has been adapted so many times. Like, how many anime have like an Alice in Wonderland episode? Like a weird amount of them too.
Oh yeah, like the Alice in Wonderland story has been not just adapted numerous times, but it's been like reimagined, and it's been like referenced and parodied by like anime, video games, TV shows, all that stuff, right? And oftentimes you'll have like that one character like the Cheshire Cat that like pokes and prods and like is kind of like a dick, but not like so much of a, I was about to say so much of a cuck, but like I don't know if that works. I don't think it does, but like, yeah, just Cheshire Cat's iconic, and I'm pretty sure everyone knows it at that point. Like, if not for the smile, right? Like, it's always the smile and like the eyes. Like, it's a very simplistic thing too, and I don't understand why, like, in the live action movie, which I'm surprised you didn't reference because I'm assuming it's probably bad for you then, like,
I hate them because they're terrible.
Yeah, it's creepy. Like, it's not like, at least with the Cheshire Cat in the animated movies, at least they're like, it's still like comically big, but at least it's kind of charming, and you make sense why, you know, they're like the kind of pokey proddy kind of character, but compared to the movie, it's just downright terrifying.
The movie's so weird. I mean, not even just Cheshire Cat, like, the movie's just all very unsettling.
Yeah.
The Tim Burton ones, yeah, I don't know what he's doing. But like, here's the thing: I'm actually not opposed to like creepy versions of Alice in Wonderland. I think if they're done well, they can be really fun. I think I just don't think Tim Burton did a good job of it.
Yeah, that's what I was about to say too. I was about to say, like, yeah, I agree. Like a good version of like a creepy Alice in Wonderland. That's a great idea, but Tim Burton's Alice in Wonderland is not a good version. Like, I think American McGee's Alice, that's like a good example of like creepy Alice in Wonderland.
Yeah. Like, I don't know. I seriously want to. So I'm taking like a second to fact check this, but
Alex, have you ever played Madness Returns?
That's what I was just looking up.
Yeah, because that's American McGee's. They're these great little, like, sort of video games that are like creepy horror-ish versions of Alice in Wonderland.
Mm-hmm.
They're dope.
Yeah. So that's the one that I was thinking. The Return to Madness Cheshire Cat looks terrifying, but at least it's
big and like.
It's really big and what?
There's definitely a leg. I was gonna say it's really big in the Vocaloid fandom. Like, there's a lot of Vocaloid songs that are based off Alice in Wonderland. And then there's also, and then again, like in Japan especially, like there's a lot of anime and manga that have like elements of it or literally like different versions of Alice in Wonderland.
Mm-hmm.
Like Alice in Wonderland is just has been like a huge inspiration for me throughout my life. I've always thought it was really cool story with really cool characters.
Yeah.
So
cool. All right. I guess we'll pass it over to Gabe now. What's your first pick, dude?
I was sort of debating which one I'm gonna go with for my first pick. But my first pick is King Bradley from Full Metal Alchemist, specifically the Brotherhood version of King Bradley, which is Wrath. He's like sort of in an antithesis to Armstrong. This is a character who's like a villainous character throughout the entire series, and has like it kind of perfect villain qualities. He's not even the main villain, but I would say like he's kind of the perfect villain for a story. He's like, he has gravitas. He has this immense weight to his actions and his words. He has very strong convictions. He's kind of mysterious. He has a great design. He can, like even for like especially for an anime, that sort of does like the sort of Tom Selleck look he has going on is very unique. It's not something that I'm especially used to seeing in a character who has like this kind of role in a story. Usually like anime villains, you know how anime villains are. They're very Sephiroth. They're very Seto Kaiba. They're like thin boys, cool boys with cool hair. But Bradley is like this big, muscular guy with a mustache and an eye patch. He looks like a Hollywood movie villain, and he looks great doing it. I know you're not a dub guy, but Ed Blabeck's voice for Bradley in the dub is exquisite.
Well, I mean, on dubs versus subs, we all know how I feel, like how I am about that.
I know that you're not like a dub guy traditionally. Baccano is a show set in like the 1930s, like 1930s New York. Ooh. I would go so far as to say watching the sub is like downright unwatchable. You watching it in the dub with like the awesome New York accents that these voice actors do in the show, especially Vino, it's wonderful.
Yeah, well, I mean, like, oh yeah, dubs versus subs is a whole other thing. Yeah, I am, I guess, traditionally more of a sub. Oh no, I'm more like, I like subtitles a lot more, but like I do appreciate good. Okay, look, you two are laughing. No, I didn't mean it like that.
This outcome on yourself.
Okay, look.
We're not telling you, Dean. It's something we already knew.
Yeah.
Anyway,
every scene with Bradley is like this game. It's like this game of who's gonna fucking die in this room. Like he emits this like threatening energy in every scene he's in, more so than even like the main villains of the series. When the main villains show up, they're like, you sort of have this expectation, like, you know, they're not gonna win this because they're the main villain. Of course they can't win. But Bradley is more like a recurring villainous characters out of the series, so there's always this threat of like, all right, is this going to be the scene where a character like tragically horribly dies? And like based on just who he is as a person, you know that very well could happen. He's a fucking beast. In the last arc of Brotherhood, I wait, have you guys watched, before I get into that, have you guys watched Brotherhood?
Yes.
Okay, hell yeah. Like in that last fucking stretch, after he just gets his ass kicked over and over again, and he just like keeps fucking showing up, and every time he shows up just a little bit more beaten up, but you never get the sense that he's become less threatening. I think there's even a line where like he shows up, his eye has been shot out, he's like bleeding from the chest from getting stabbed multiple times, he was blown out of his train cart, and one of the guys is like, he faces off against Scar and Mustang and everyone, and one of the guys is like, I don't even think all of us in this, like, in his state, I don't even think all of us could still take him down. Like, I don't know, he's just such a unique villain character, and he's so interesting. He has such an interesting philosophy. He has such interesting philosophies anytime he like, I don't know, I just love him so much. He's like one of my favorite villains in any anime.
Yeah. From what I do remember, yeah, he was definitely really badass. Like, I loved his design too. Yeah, you were talking about like how he looks.
Yeah, dude looks like fucking Tom, like straight up looks like Tom Selleck, and it's great.
Yeah. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, like the whole like Hollywood aesthetic, like it's such a nice like thing. It's such a nice like contrast too, because yeah, you're right. Like a lot of anime villains, at least, like they typically they're a little bit leaner. They have more, I guess, swagger rather than malice to them.
Yeah, hell, even in Full Metal Alchemist, when Father like gets his final look after he does this whole thing at the end of the show, when he like gets his big look, he's Sephiroth. He's just
like pretty boys.
Yeah. If you're a tall, pretty boy with long hair and an intimidating face, you're a villain. But Bradley is like this old man with a crumpled face and an eye patch and like this sort of, and the dub at least, this sort of like patchy voice. He just seems like a grandpa, and he's like just this unstoppable monster.
Mm-hmm.
It's fantastic.
Yeah. Feels like definitely like he really could have been like a series long protagonist.
Yeah.
Like not just like one, you know, like an antagonist per season kind of thing. Like I guess like he really could carry a whole season or a whole series on his own.
Oh yeah. I know this would not happen, because I know the author, she said like she's never going back to Full Metal Alchemist or something, but like if they did like a prequel series that's just like Bradley fucking around in like the sort of Fuhrer training facility that he was in and doing that sort of stuff, I would watch the shit out of that.
I would watch the shit out of that too. Yeah, that sounds awesome. All right, I guess Alex's little that's like, all right, Full Metal Alchemist team, we want that. There's a demand for it. Okay.
This was really good. Like I went into it with like no expectations, and I was like blown away by it.
Yeah.
Full Metal Alchemist was like the second anime I ever watched, and
oh really?
It kind of set an unhealthy expectation for what anime would be. It is still my favorite.
Yeah. I remember, I actually watched both Full Metal Alchemist and Brotherhood. And I remember Brotherhood a little bit better because that's the one I watched, I guess, more recently. Mm-hmm. But yeah, Full Metal Alchemist, like I said, like either or, like if you've even read the manga or anything, like it's seriously like, it really does stick with you. With either adaptation, it really leaves an impact on you.
Yeah, I think Brotherhood has sort of been like, I think on top of the other stuff I've talked about before, I think Brotherhood was like the thing that sort of, I saw that and I was like, okay, yeah, I want to make stories.
Damn.
Nice. Well, we all got to start somewhere, right?
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. No. Yeah.
All right. I guess let's move on to our next set of picks. And mine, despite everything that so I guess before I begin, it is a Throne of Glass character, but it's not the Throne of Glass character that I have stated on record that I would let step on my throat. I'm just putting that out there. It's not her.
Wait, so we're not gonna be talking about Manon right now?
I mean, you can if you want. Just
I'm leaving soon.
Okay, I mean, like, you know what? No.
I don't have a pretext for the series. I do want to hear your character from it is.
Okay, like I wanted to, like, I was gonna talk about Manon, but the thing is, like, you are gonna be starting the series soon, so I want to.
Yeah, that's fair. That's totally fair. That's totally fair.
That's, you know, I was considering you, Gabe, and you decide to peace out on me like that. God damn it! I was being considerate, and you show me this. You show me this disrespect. All right. Anyway, so the Throne of Glass character that I'm going to be talking about is Aelin, who is the main, who is the protagonist of the entire series. And I know that that's like, considering Manon exists, like, why would I be talking about Aelin, especially because I also have Alex in the call. But I think like
Drake.
Yeah, I'm sorry, dude. What is this podcast if we don't drag Sarah J. Maas to some extent? Anyway, I love Aelin. I love her character
You're
so much.
Not Sarah J. Maas.
Huh?
Leg.
So yeah, like I said, I love Aelin. I love her story, and I think if I could really break it down, I think it's it's pretty much how am I trying to say this? It's so I guess for those who are just listening, Alex put on the Discord, I said it was me getting dragged for once. I'm like, it was for 1 minute. It was just for a minute. Look, it's just for a minute. But yeah, so I love Aelin's characters. Selena, I guess Selena, when Aelin is first introduced as Selena, and I guess that's a bit of a spoiler, but I guess as long as I'm not talking about Manon, then Gabe doesn't care.
Yeah.
But
spoiler alert for Game of Thrones or
Game
Throne of Glass. Their names are too similar, okay?
Yeah, I
was about to ask, are you having reverse leg, or are you talking about your future?
I'm not talking about Game of Thrones. Fuck that.
Fair enough. All right, so I guess going back on topic, Selena. There's certainly I like Selena, but not as much as I love Aelin, and I guess the reason why I say why I only like Selena is because to me there were times where she felt a little bit too one note. It felt like, she had some she definitely had a lot of swagger to her, and she had a lot of personality, but at the same time she still she flirted but never entertained a lot of ideas of a relationship yet. And I think because she was guarding herself from who she really is, then we couldn't really see that, which I guess is good on Sarah J. Maas's part. But at the same time, it's when she starts embracing who she really is as Aelin, then that's when she really comes out a little bit more, when she starts being a little bit more proud of where she of who she is, basically. She embraces the swagger and the her cunningness a lot more. She embraces, I guess, her feelings and her emotions a lot more, and that eventually leads into friendships with Lysandra, her relationship with Aedion, her cousin, I don't remember, and I think more importantly her relationship with Rowan, when she really embraces who she is. Aedion? Is it Aedion? Yeah, I think that's what I heard Alex say. So it's the lag.
Yeah, I said that literally 10 seconds.
Yeah, it's the lag.
Before you heard that.
Sorry, it's the lag. So yeah, so when she becomes who she really is, then that's when I love her a lot more, because then you get I guess moreover, she there's a nice parallel between her as Aelin versus when she has to start acting as Selena, because then it's I guess for some people it's probably a little bit annoying, but to me it's I like seeing that she's embracing who she was before as this cunning assassin under Erebin, or however the hell you say these names, but yeah, so seeing her growth, and I guess especially knowing how tragic her backstory is, she is, I guess personally, a lot more than just a tragic backstory, and she really does come into her own. I know that there are a whole list of other characters that kind of come into the series and kind of grab your attention, but Aelin's is the one that I guess is consistently the one that kind of keeps everyone intertwined, and it's the one that's the most, there's so much to it. She really is a protagonist with so much on her shoulders, right? And for her being only 19 in this, like 18, 19 at the introduction of the series. Like that's a lot of responsibility, and like for someone who I guess why I love Aelin a lot is because when she faces a lot of these responsibilities, like she isn't like the definition of perfection when it comes to these things. Like she makes rash decisions, and she has to own up to it, and she understands consequence, and that's what I appreciate about her. And like it's like for a video game, like I guess for like a fantasy protagonist in general, like there is a lot of humanity in Aelin, and that's why I appreciate her a lot. And sorry, Alex, I'm about to drag you again, but I don't know if you agree with what I'm saying, but
I've been sitting here trying not to talk and like making faces as you say things.
Okay. Well then, I guess we can open up the conversation. I'd love to hear what you think on it.
Yeah, I have no input, so I'm basically just gonna listen to what you guys have to say about this.
Mm-hmm. I mean, it was bound to happen. I can't talk like we can't talk about Manon, so
yeah. I'm gonna agree with you that Aelin is a better version of the character than Selena. But I personally don't like Aelin very much. I just find her really frustrating as a character. This is a problem I have with like SJM's writing in general. I feel like she has like the whole strong female protagonist syndrome, where like she has a character who's like a badass assassin, but she's still feminine because she likes wearing dresses. Or like with Feyre, you've got like, oh, she's like a hunter or whatever, and she can do all this cool stuff, but she likes painting, so she's feminine. And like,
I guess that makes sense. Yeah,
I have with her writing in general, and I feel like Aelin falls into that really easily, and it feels out of character for her. And this is just like SJM's writing in general. I find that she has a really hard time writing consistent characters. Like the fact that I can say Selena and Aelin feel like two completely different characters is kind of a testament to that. And that like I can say I like Aelin a little bit, and I can't stand Selena. But like again, you talked about how Aelin has like a lot on her shoulders, which is fair. But I also feel like at one point she gets to the point where she just feels like there's no limit to her abilities. Like, because there's, I mean, like going into spoilers here, but there's like the whole part where she's like, oh, I think I've reached the bottom of my well of power or whatever. And then it turns out that was just like the very top of it. And she has like this huge amount of power left that she could reach into. And then also, this is just like a writing thing for me about like the writing of the story. But like as soon as the name Aelin was mentioned in the story, I was like, oh, Selena's Aelin. Okay. And that wasn't surprising at all. And I was really disappointed when I was right.
Yeah, I guess you have a point there. You definitely have a point there, especially with the magic system. Like that's definitely a critique that I do have of it. And like, I feel like I wouldn't be so critical of it if I hadn't been, I guess, personally so, like, nitpicky with my own magic system. Like, and again, like, I'm not saying that, like, how, you know, that every magic system should be super elaborate and super detailed. Like, obviously, as magic, like, you know, it's supposed to be a fantastical property. But when it suddenly can be used to write your characters out of any situation, then I have a little bit of a problem with it. If not a major problem with it. Like you said, yeah, like Aelin reaching her power only at like supposedly at the bottom of her capacity, but only it's suddenly like there's more to it. Like it's not even it's seriously like an anime thing where it's like what is it? Like it's like the whole fucking Anakin thing where it's like you underestimate my power or something. And it's like truly an underestimation because yeah, Aelin is a lot more powerful than like even she thinks, and that's insane to me.
I remember the other thing that I really don't like about Aelin. Okay, I'm gonna need to like take a minute to explain this. But if you're familiar with the YouTuber Jenny Nicholson, she did a video at one point talking about Pirates of the Caribbean and how Cordero from Pirates of the Caribbean makes a really interesting character in the first movie because he's not the protagonist. What is allowed to be unpredictable. I feel like part of the problem I have with Aelin and with Throne of Glass in general is that Aelin is the protagonist, but Sarah J. Maas still tries to write her as an unpredictable character. She doesn't let us into Aelin's head. Like, Aelin will go do all this stuff, like, off screen and then have it be revealed, like, oh, look, I did this cool, great thing. But because she's the protagonist, the fact that we don't get to see it, I feel like really takes away from the opportunity to view Aelin as, like, clever or like as like powerful, because she just does all this stuff off screen and then like holds it out like look at this thing I did later, and that really bugs me about her as a character. Like I feel like I'd like her more if she wasn't the protagonist. That's
100% fair. Yeah,
it's like the same problem with like the fucking Han Solo movie.
Yeah, you bring up a really good point. Like, I think I'm gonna start looking at the books a little bit in a different light now, because like I found that to be an issue too, but personally it was more like, I don't know, but something like, it's definitely something that will bug me about it now that I think about it. But like, yeah, when Aelin, I think in Empire of Storms especially, like I won't dive too much into what that spoiler is, but like you know, when she ultimately reveals that she had this plan throughout the entire time, it's like, this isn't really good writing. It's just kind of lazy. Like, you could have shown this, like, yeah, like you could have shown like how she had come into contact with all these people.
Yeah, I feel like if we were able to see Aelin planning her attacks and being strategic, I feel like I would like her more as a character. But instead it feels like Sarah J. Maas is trying to be like, look how amazing my character is. She's so smart. I'm not going to show you how smart she is, but I'm just going to tell you that.
Yeah. Again, another case of telling, not showing, which is not what you should be doing. Like, you can't just like...
Here's the thing, Dean, I don't want to like take away from your enjoyment of the books or the characters, because I know you really like them, but that's just like from my perspective. Those are some of my issues with it. But you're still allowed to enjoy it. You're allowed to enjoy it. Everyone else is allowed to enjoy it.
Yeah. Well, I guess if you're worried on my end, like I do still enjoy the books, but I understand the critiques. Like, I understand where it's at fault. Like, I get it. Like, even A Six of Crows, which I think is, I guess, technically a better book for me, like, there are still some flaws in it, but
nothing is perfect.
Yeah, exactly. So I guess just at the end, like, yeah, it's like these valid points, like, they are super valid points. Don't get me wrong. Like, it'll only change how I look at Aelin a little bit more critically, like, as a character, like, in terms of like referring to, you know, building my own protagonist in Porter. But I think if I'm just gonna like tune out and enjoy the books for what they are, then I'm gonna love Aelin through every step of the way. Because, like, again, one of the reasons why I'm talking about Aelin, and it's a very small reason, but it's a reason nonetheless, is because I can't talk about Manon, who, depending on when the Funny Moments video of, I guess, us three and Jessica messing around, like, whenever that comes up, like, you guys will probably know why I can't do it yet, because Gabe here has gotten a fascination with Manon that I think was very funny.
Oh, fascination! That's how we're characterizing it, huh?
Well, how would you say it? I'm saying fascination to start a conversation. I don't know how you want to describe it.
I don't know how I describe it either.
Okay, so, all right, I guess I'm actually forgetting, like, so I guess one more thing before I pass it over to you, Alex, is like, I know you've been critical of this before, but Aelin's look is one that is certainly pretty striking to me. Like, I know that, you know, you have the rightful, like, you know, the two of us, and I'm pretty sure anyone else who knows about Sarah J. Maas has like rightfully critiqued just how extra her characters are in terms of appearance. Like, you know, Rowan with the facial tattoos, Aelin with her eyes, Lysandra with their shape-shifting.
I'm not gonna say that Aelin's not gorgeous, because she is. I'm just, it's the fact that she does that with all of her characters, because all of her characters have to have like special snowflake designs.
Yeah, it doesn't really like appearance is definitely not the most important thing when it comes to to bringing your character to life, but it certainly does help paint a better image of how, you know, of what they look like, I guess. Like it's like,
it's
I don't know,
not a Maas problem, it's a YA problem in general.
Yeah, but I guess going back on topic, like what I'm thinking about, like when I'm saying Aelin's appearance, is that like despite falling under the problem that we've said of, you know, very special qualities, like her eyes really are like, holy shit, that's really cool. I'm not gonna lie about it, that is really cool.
It is really cool.
Yeah, like it's, what is it, like the Ash River eyes apparently, where it's like, you know, turquoise and gold like blending really well. Like you don't really like it, it's pretty much like a set of anime eyes in a book. And that's no joke either. Like anime characters obviously have like, you know, purple eyes or like gold eyes or like, you know, like frosted amber eyes or something, like really outrageous eye colors that are in no way possible in real life. And that's pretty much the same thing with Aelin. Like she and like Adian have those eyes basically, and they're two striking characters already, so, you know. Anyway, I'll pass it over to Alex now for her second pick, which is,
oh boy. Okay, my second pick, I'm going like a lot more obscure. So the character that I'm going to talk about, her name is Renee Walker, and she's from the book series All for the Game by Nora Sakovic. I don't think I'm pronouncing that name right, but that's fine because it's a pen name. So just because I'm assuming that neither of you have heard of them, All for the Game is about, it's about this character named Neil Jostin. He plays this fictional sport called Exy, which is like, it sounds really like odd and like weird on the surface. Like I'm not really a sports person, but the books aren't just about sports.
So like what I'm thinking in terms of like what you just said is like, oh, I'm not a sports person, so I probably am describing it like weirdly or something. And I'm thinking like, is she seriously just about to explain basketball?
No,
just under a different name or something? I'm like,
this mystical fictional sport, basketball.
A fictional sport called Exy. It's like described as like a mix between like lacrosse and soccer on like a football-sized field, I want to say. I might be remembering that wrong. It's been a few years since I read them.
So like extra large hockey.
Sure, why not? But yeah, I should also say, if you're gonna look into these books, huge content warning for like a large list of things. They deal with a lot of really serious topics. And like I said, like they start off as like sport books, but then you find out that like the main character is kind of involved with like the criminal underground. There's a lot of murder. But yeah, so Renee
right now.
What?
Gonna place my order right now just because I'm murder. No, I'm kidding.
No, there's 3 books. It's a trilogy. There's 3 books. It's $2 ebooks. They're like really cheap. But yeah, like $2 for all 3 books, I should say. The first one is free. But yeah, so Renee is one of the characters on Neil's Exy team. Like he starts playing for like a college team, and she's one of the characters on the team. The teams are like mixed gender for reasons, and so Renee is one of the goalies on the team. First of all, her description of like her character is really cool. She's got like white hair, like cut to like chin length with like, and the bottom is dyed in like pastel rainbow, which I always thought was really cool. Because I mean, I'm just one of those people who thinks anyone with dyed hair looks really cool. So she's got a cool character design. She's an absolute sweetheart. She's like one of the nicest characters in the book. Like pretty much all of the characters that are on Neil's team have like tragic backstory galore. Like they come from like abusive homes and stuff. And Renee's no different. But she's at this point in her life, she's like come to a point where she's accepted that she had a bad past, and has embraced kind of a new life and is trying to like help other people get out of a bad place. So she's like a massive sweetheart. She's religious as well, but she's not like, which I tend to have a hard time with religious characters in books when they're made like explicitly religious, because I've had like my own bad experiences with that in my real life. But she's a Christian girl. She's using her faith to like try and help people come out of bad situations. She's also, she knows how to fight with a knife, which I always appreciate in a character as well. And she's just a really cool character. She comes off as like really like innocent and sweet on the surface, but then you get to know more about her and you realize, like, you learn about her past and you realize that she's really tough. Like, if you were to take her on in a fight, you would probably lose. And like, even though Neil, the main, like the protagonist, doesn't trust her at the beginning, she still like puts in the effort to like get to know him and to support him through his journey, I guess. And yeah, that's why she's like one of my favorite characters.
Nice. She sounds badass. Do you have like a concept art or like character sketches ever?
I will find some. Yes, hold on.
Just because it's like a nice like visual thing.
I'm looking up art for it. The series kind of, I'm sure this is not like official art, but I'm getting Haikyuu vibes.
Yeah, so it's like I said, it's a sports team. It's probably, I haven't actually watched Haikyuu, but I'm imagining it's a lot darker than Haikyuu.
Yeah, I haven't watched Haikyuu either, but I am fairly certain that they don't get into dark topics in Haikyuu. I think it's just a bunch of rowdy boys playing volleyball. Can you help me out here?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
I have watched.
It probably doesn't help that like the main Haikyuu team, their uniforms are orange, and then the team that Neil joins is the Fox. Their uniforms are also orange.
Yeah, that's why my mind immediately went to Haikyuu when I saw the art. I was like, oh, a bunch of rowdy boys in orange uniforms. This Haikyuu. I haven't seen Haikyuu either, so I don't have any frame of reference for either. But I'm going to assume Haikyuu is just as dark.
Haikyuu is pretty sure not as dark.
No. On an off note, Haikyuu is very like, it's, I guess, what I would consider a perfect anime. And by perfect, I mean I acknowledge where it's at fault, but like perfect as in the sense like it really does kind of blend a lot of like stereotypical anime tropes, but makes it its own kind of fun thing. So like there's and you can compare it with this story too, but like with Haikyuu, it's like there's two buddy friendships that like a lot of people kind of ship.
Two bros chilling in a hot tub. There's also like simps. Just thought I'd say that. The two genders.
Yeah, there's simps.
Bros and simps.
Yeah.
They've got like, I can confirm for the game does have the character does end up in a relationship with another male character in the books. Like hella slow burn, but there is gay representation.
Nice.
Simping for bros.
Hell yeah.
Finally.
So like on top of things, bros and simps, there's also like really like for for like a volleyball anime, like it really takes like their orchestrating and their music and their sound effects like really seriously, especially when it comes to like high action, like high or like really intense matches. Like it really makes you invest in everything that they're doing. So yeah, like there are ways to make, I guess for me, because I was never a sports person, like there's ways to make sports awesome and like I guess more engaging than what some people would take at face value, right? It's like, oh,
okay, sports anime are though. Sports anime are good though.
They are. I never said they were bad, but like, sports sports anime
like,
makes sports anime makes sports watchable for me. And I say that because I sucked at sports as a kid. That's
sports used in fan fiction, and I love like sports anime, and some sports books, if they're done well, are really good. Which
is, I guess, what this one is, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely got a big focus on the sport. But again, there's like mafia stuff going on in the background.
Yeah,
and I love that. Content warning for a lot of really serious topics that you want to look into these books. I would recommend looking up those content warnings if you're sensitive to certain things, because there's a lot. But if there's nothing in there that's going to be like difficult for you to get through them, I would recommend them. They're like one of my all-time favorite series.
Cool. All right. Well, I guess with that being said, let's hand it over to Gabe for his second pick. For a second, I don't know why whenever I'm transitioning to you, Gabe, I always get super robotic. But
it's because of the brain bad late night.
Sure. So let's hand it over to you. Who's your, I guess at this point, your fifth favorite character?
Well, Alex mentioned something interesting earlier when you guys were discussing Aelin, about Aelin being like super overpowered and it sort of breaking like the tension in the story when she just is as overpowered as she is. And that made me think of my favorite character, who is from an action shonen, my boy Egg Boy Saitama.
Yes.
Hell yeah.
The ultimate overpowered boy. The character so overpowered that it goes around losing tension and comes back around to being entertaining again.
Yeah.
One Punch Man is so fucking good. One Punch Man is one of those animes I don't even think, it's not even a matter of like whether or not everyone likes it. I'm pretty sure every single person I know has seen and loves One Punch Man. It's a
so
gift
good.
from God.
Yeah, it's definitely so like One Punch Man, I think, is another perfect anime, basically, where it
absolutely
incorporates a lot of like anime and manga tropes, but makes it it doesn't just make it its own, but it makes it like it defines a new chapter for the trope, basically.
Yeah, and the difference between One Punch Man and Throne of Glass, I think, in terms of overpoweredness, is because in One Punch Man, like, the point is that he is overpowered. Like, it makes the show comedic. Mm-hmm. Whereas in Throne of Glass, it's like a serious drama, so it kind of breaks it at that point.
I need to start like I want to do a separate video at this point of how many times we all collectively drag Throne of Glass.
Sorry.
Well, I think that's interesting though, because like one of the reasons why Saitama is, I think, like not like just an honorable mention, is because like I do think the show, I've only watched it in show form. I've never read the webcomic. I've heard the webcomic is incredible to read, but I've never read it. But I've only watched the anime. But I like the way that it handles his overpoweredness from a narrative perspective is also pretty genius. And like the fact that it takes the show and is like it's sort of a writer's dilemma. They've created this concept of like, okay, there's this man and he destroys all enemies with a single punch. How do we write a compelling narrative based on that like just not just from it being a funny show, but like like a good story as well. Because I do legitimately think One Punch Man has a solid story wrapped around its fucking hilarious visual comedy. Mainly, like, I think some of the best narrative beats in the anime are like the ones like after he beats the Sea King, or when he's trying to get into the Hero Academy, like when the fact that he's as overpowered as he is something to his detriment, and like people don't take him seriously because they think he's just taking credit for other people's hard work, because to everyone else the natural assumption is he just finishes off an enemy that someone else has worked really hard to beat and then takes the credit for it, or a scene where like the fact that he's so reliant on his strength is like now to his detriment because he's kind of an idiot and completely flubs a written exam and is bunked down into C rank because of it. Like it's so interesting how it takes a story that should on paper be very uncompelling and uninteresting and just like oh, I wonder if he'll beat the bad guy. Oh, he did, and make it interesting through having Saitama have like unique character-based problems that he has to face, in spite of the fact that he's incredibly powerful, because these are problems that can't just be one punched.
Yeah,
it's good shit.
Be like,
yeah,
I can't one punch a girl into a thing. I can't one punch a girl into a relationship. That's not how that shit works.
I never read the manga. I don't know if there's like relationship drama in the manga, but I'm sure that could be a thing. Like, it's just he has no. I mean, that would be a thing. Not even in the show. It's just out in his life. This is a dude who has no chemistry with anyone. He has no social skills because he just dedicated his whole life to becoming the strongest by doing mad push-ups and getting mad gains. But the gains were too mad, and now he's bad at everything else.
Yeah, well, I mean, like, you know, I was joking, obviously, because, like, on like relationships too, like, I think universally the three of us can agree that unnecessary love arcs are bullshit.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
There was a romance arc in one, and it would definitely be to its detriment.
Yeah. Like, there's so much charm with One Punch Man already. Like, you don't need
Unless it's between Genos and the ninja dude. That shit I would pay to see. But other than that, there should be nothing.
Yeah. Fair enough. Just... Do you need a moment, Alex?
It's the leg. I'm fine. I'm usually laughing notice.
Alright.
I mean, on that, Genos is also like a really good protagonist as like a side sort of character, as sort of an audience's portal into Saitama's journey. Like it's sort of like a Holmes and Watson deal going on, where like Genos is the more humanistic character, and as an audience we're sort of seeing things through his eyes more than Saitama. And he's a really good fucking protagonist for that. Even if he's also in his own way extremely overpowered.
It's just like it's the perfect solution to like thinking you've backed yourself into a corner, or like everyone thinking you've backed yourself into a corner, but then you're literally one punch your way out of it.
Yeah.
But then the people are like, nope. Right.
Well, the best ones are when they use him as like kind of a MacGuffin. Again, the Sea King arc, that's my favorite one, because he's not present for most of it, and most of the arc is spent with him having to hop on Moomin Rider's back so that Moomin Rider can piggyback him on his bicycle to the fight scene, which takes like 5 episodes because he has to bicycle his way through a whole city.
Yeah. Like, I guess just going back to like Saitama too, like he definitely is one of my favorite designed characters ever. Like, just talking about like appearance, like when he gets all kind of like derpy, so his eyes are like all open, like there's just like the single dot in it, and he's just looking so like lost or something. I love that so much. It's so funny
when it goes back to like the the webcomic design, because I know that's something the show did that that was talked about a lot, how like it went back and forth between how the manga is designed and how the original webcomic is designed, just swapped back and forth between the art styles for comedic effect, and it's fantastic.
Yeah, like he makes yellow work. I like that too. It's hard to like.
He has such a simple design too. That's what I'm so sick of, like that's a problem that I think I've had with not even just anime, just a lot of media in general, where like a character is extremely over designed and like there's just way too much shit going on for me to like really appreciate the how a costume conveys their personality.
Mm-hmm.
And Saitama's costume is just so simple, and it gets to the point of who he is. He looks like Caillou.
That is the best way of putting it yet. Oh my god. I don't know why I never thought of that before. That's genius, dude.
Have you never heard that before?
Clearly not. Everyone that I knew, or everyone that I know who was just like, who was watching One Punch at the time, they were always like, "Oh, Saitama's so cool," or "He's so like stupid," or whatever. But no one has ever called him a fucking Caillou. That's hilarious.
He adopted Caillou.
So many people compare him to that.
Yeah.
So many comparisons of it. That's funny.
All right. Well, then I don't know who the hell I was hanging out with at the time. But yeah, like on his appearance too, like when he actually gets into, or when he gets serious, I guess, like when his eyes change and everything, like, and his muscles bulge out.
He gets a frowny face in his eyebrows furl, and he gets the intense face. This shit looks good too.
Yeah, like they know what they're doing. Like the showrunners of the anime, like they're so good with how they present an otherwise like unstoppable character, right? Like it's pretty much like what I guess a lot of like Western media has been trying to do with like Superman or Thor or everything, but like I guess when it comes to like to that extent too, like One Punch Man definitely should be the benchmark of how you should write and portray an overpowered character, right? Because being overpowered is kind of annoying, but at the same time, if you do it how they did it with One Punch Man, like there's ways to make it fun.
Yeah, there's ways to like even if it's a serious story, which One Punch Man absolutely isn't, but even if it is, you can still make a serious story with an overpowered protagonist very compelling. Yeah,
like I guess to go to Western media for a second, like look at Thor Ragnarok. Right, like they would take, I guess in my experience, like they took an otherwise a literal god character and made him fun. Like they made him fun, right? Like he's still overpowered as shit. Like especially when it comes to like Alex, what?
But that one was good.
All I heard was at least that one was good.
I don't know if you're cutting out. You've been good so far. I think that.
Oh my god, am I cutting out a lot?
A couple times.
Okay, yeah, I said I liked Thor Ragnarok. I thought it was really fun, and most Marvel movies suck, but that one didn't.
Facts.
Yeah,
that's big facts. All right, before we go down that inevitable rabbit hole, let's round up our final picks. And my final pick for I guess technically my sixth favorite character, but she is my favorite character of all time in regards to the show that I'm talking about. She is Toph from Avatar: The Last Airbender.
Yeah, boy.
Like, I really don't want to spend too much time talking about Toph because I'm pretty sure anyone who's watched the series knows just how much of a badass Toph is. Like, she's like, for someone who is she's blind, she's 12, and she comes from a very rich family, so like odds are she would have been protected all her life. Instead, her I guess her technical debut into the show was as the one who would teach Aang earthbending. And when she actually gets introduced, she is fighting a bunch of other people, or a bunch of earthbenders in a tournament, and she sweeps through the entire thing. Amazing. Absolutely amazing. Like, her design kicks ass. Like, her jokes are on point, especially when, you know, she jokes about her being blind. Hilarious. Absolutely hilarious. Like, and that's not to discredit, like, you know, like, she has some of the most badass moments in the show. Like, she, I guess raiding
metal bending.
Yeah, I was gonna get to that. So yeah, metal bending, definitely, like, that's incredible. I guess the raid onto the Fire Nation capital, and like how she just completely changes all the steps into one giant slide. Awesome. What other things? Like, I guess, like, anytime she would go into like a suit full of like a rock armor suit or something, like, awesome.
Holding up the tower in the desert.
Yeah, that's I guess that's the biggest image that kind of sticks with me in terms of like Toph's big badass moments, like holding up a literal tower, like from collapsing, like
as being sucked into the spirit realm.
Yeah, like, what a badass! Like I thought she was a badass when I was like 5'6", and I think of her still as a badass at 22, because I guess, like, she is the embodiment of, like, being able to do so much when you've been given so little in life. Like, she's made being blind not a like, her being blind isn't a hindrance. It's more of a strength that works in her favor. And I guess in terms of hindrances, like, it's a hindrance to everyone who's fucking facing her, because she's gonna whoop your ass, dude. So yeah, Toph Beifong, best character in Avatar, bar none. So, Alex, who is your third and final pick for part 2?
Okay. It's my turn to go into the world of anime. My favorite anime character, probably of all time, is Death the Kid from Soul Eater.
Ooh. Nice.
He's... Okay, Soul Eater, I've watched Soul Eater, I think, 3 times, and I've read the manga once. But I remember, like, watching the first... Because, like, the first 3 episodes of Soul Eater, you're just basically getting an introduction to, like, the main cast. Mm-hmm. And I remember, like, watching the first 2 episodes and being like, okay. And then I got to the 3rd one, and they introduced Death the Kid, and I just, like, I don't know how many times I had to pause the episode because I was laughing too hard to follow along to what was happening. I really like Soul Eater, actually, just because I think it does a really good job of balancing, like, the really serious parts of the story with the humor. And I think Death the Kid is a really good example of that, because, you know, he's like this incredibly powerful dude. He's literally like a death god. He's got 2 like guns that he can use, and he's got all these like cool abilities and stuff. And then he just has like this need for everything to be absolutely perfect, to the point that if, like, literally in the first episode you meet him, he's like, oh, I think I left like the toilet paper crooked or something, and literally leaves the temple that he's like exploring or whatever it is. It's been too long since I watched it, but he leaves like the place he's at, leaves his 2 weapons there alone, and goes back home to double check that like the frame isn't crooked or whatever it is. Yeah, it's so funny. But then he's really powerful, which is cool. He has a really cool design. I always love the white stripes in his hair, and he's got like the perfect like, black and white aesthetic. And, like, the symmetry is so nice. And then he also, like, you can tell he grows to care about his friends over time as the story progresses, and they become like a really good solid team that's able to work together by the end of it. Yeah,
Yeah.
He's just a fun character.
Yeah, like you were talking about like aesthetics, like his black and white aesthetic definitely is the one that it's one of my favorites too. Yeah, like I love just how for black and white, which is a really good like setup for a lot of good aesthetics. Like it's such a defining one too. Like yeah, the white stripes in the hair, amazing.
The gold, the like yellow eyes. Like
Yeah.
I have a poster of him on my wall, and it's like all black and white, and then there's just like this yellow flame like coming out of his eyes, and he's such a good design.
Yeah, how he like fires guns with his pinkies or something like that's so cool.
Don't try that at home.
Yeah, of course not. Don't do that.
It's really bad. I mean, be careful with guns anyway. But like, if you're gonna use a gun, don't shoot with your pinkies.
Yeah. Leave it to 2D fictional characters.
Yeah.
Come on, anime. Teach proper gun form.
I mean, also, am I getting their names right? Liz and Patty. Those are their names. They're also really fun characters, and I love how much they like care about him, and he like is like. They're so fun. They have such a fun dynamic, the three of them.
Yeah. Nice.
Death the Kid is also the only that made Soul Eater not tolerable.
Yeah. I say early on when you said Death the Kid from Soul Eater was like, hell yeah. Cause like if it had been any other character from Soul Eater, I would have been, oh sweet, because you know that's pretty cool, but like Death the Kid is my boy. Love Death Kid. He's so great.
I mean, I have a couple close contenders.
Oh, yeah. That is a close contender. Yeah, you're right.
My baby, and I love them so much. But Death the Kid definitely takes the cake for me.
Yeah, as he should. All right.
Soul Eater and Bleach. Those are ones that I've been meaning to watch for the longest time.
I'd say Soul Eater.
Okay.
Like, there's nothing wrong with Bleach. It's just that Bleach, it kind of like I guess in my experience, it takes a while to like kind of invest yourself in it. Like if we're just talking designs, like it looks really good, Bleach, but in terms of like story and development, like I just say pick up Soul Eater first. It's a lot quicker to get invested.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. The manga is also really good. It takes a little longer to get into it if you've already seen the anime, because it like follows the same story pretty closely for the first half of it. But once you get like past that point and you get to like the parts that weren't in the anime, it's so good. Mm-hmm. So good.
It is. How am I trying to say this? It's like, you know what? I'm not even gonna say it. It's completely stupid. I can't say it properly. All right.
Yeah. Don't be a coward.
Like, you know, like the whole like two thumbs up thing. I was gonna be like, oh, two pinky guns. Okay.
Oh, Dean.
All right. Gabe, what is your final pick?
I'm sure. Okay, I've talked about this game enough where I'm sure some part of you, Dean, was expecting me to gush about a character from it at some point. We've talked about it twice, the two times that we recorded our video game podcast. So my last character is A2 from Nier Automata. She's what?
Yeah. Nier Automata. Hell yeah.
I was debating for the last 12 hours whether or not I should do 9S or A2, because I love them both in equal regard as characters, but I decided to go with A2 at the last minute because I think her character is just so fucking interesting. Mm-hmm. Essentially, okay, so I've explained the general premise of Nier to you. There's like the war going on between the androids and the machines. 2B and 9S are two androids who are sort of sent to handle a machine skirmish, I guess, in this city on Earth, and so there's that plot going on, but scattered in between a lot of the main plot elements between 2B and 9S and the two machine leaders that they go up against. There's this one character who shows up very briefly during just one mission, and she's like a subversive, I guess, that you just find in notes and stuff, and characters randomly talking about her, and that's A2. And A2 is this sort of rogue android character who is like wanted by Yorha for sort of betraying them. She's a traitor. She's killed other androids. She's basically she's like known as a war criminal, and her whole deal is she was the very first built android, so she's like the prototype, and ever since her first combat mission, she's basically been going against Yorha, because in her first mission she basically figured out a lot of the late game plot twist stuff that 9S figures out later on, having to do with like there being a the cycle of violence and a cycle of war. And her whole thing is that she's on like this mad vengeance quest to basically wipe out all the machines, probably wipe out all of Yorha, and restore humanity on Earth by herself. It's a very bizarre like sort of thing that it establishes later on, and becomes even stranger when she becomes one of the 3 playable protagonists in the game later on in the sea route. And I don't know, I just find her super interesting to play as. Like, her design is cool too. She has like lines and shit all across her body, which are like, I guess, the plates and stuff, because she's a prototype, so like they hadn't worked out all the quirks in designing their androids yet, so it's a little more obvious that she's like not an actual person, that she's just a metal skeleton with like imitation skin slapped onto it.
Yeah, like the symbolism of like being the first one, and I guess being the broken one. Like, I love the symbolism behind that. Like,
yeah, and like emotionally too. She's not like a disturbed person or like a quiet person. Like, one of the things I was so nervous about with her character was that I was going to play as her, and she was going to be like a I don't know how to phrase this, not like a nothing personal kid type character.
Yeah.
But she isn't that at all. Her whole deal is that she's kind of an aggro asshole, and this shows like how her character plays as well. She plays differently than how you played the game so far up to that point, in a way that's actually slightly shittier, which makes total sense because she's a prototype and they haven't worked out all the kinks. So playing the game as her is much harder because she's a worse fighter than either of the characters you've played as up to that point. But her goals are so much more ambitious than either of 2B's or 9S's, because she's basically planning to put an end to the war, whereas 9S and 2B are just fighters in the war.
Yeah. Yeah, like I remember everything I remember a lot of what you were talking about in the video game episode when you were talking about Nier Automata, and like there's so much complexity that complements like not just like the overall story, but like in each individual character too. Like,
yeah,
it works.
Yoko is really good at like putting like going to inhuman levels to just add lore and shit to his worlds. And what's cool about it is like it feels pretty optional. Like, basically everything that I've ever said about Nier Automata, except for 9S and 2B are 2 androids fighting against machines, and eventually shit kind of goes wrong. Everything else that is a deeper examination is kind of like optional content. It's something that I really appreciate about how the game's storytelling works, where you can play the game and have a fun at hack and slash adventure, but if you play it and you seriously go in depth with the world and stuff, you'll have a much deeper experience. Because the game isn't concerned about whether or not you have the experience, it's just concerned whether or not you have a good time on your terms. And A2 is kind of an extension of that. You can go into her sections and play like this sad vengeful warrior who's just trying to stop a war that's cost her all the other prototype androids who are basically her comrades. It's caused just death and destruction and has gone on for thousands of years for no reason, because both of the inciting parties of the war are long dead and no one knows why they're fighting anymore, and she just wants to stop it.
Yeah.
It's good shit.
It's very good shit, which I still have to play.
Good things about Nier Automata.
Yeah, I feel like, I don't know, I have a hunch, Alex, that you would probably really like Nier Automata. Like, despite me not...
I'm not much of a gamer, but I've been like meaning to look up like playthrough of it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
What's also cool about Automata is that it's like it's the seventh game in a series, and you don't have to play like a single previous one to understand what's going on in it. It's
series.
Like, if nothing else, like the scope would probably like hook you in immediately. Just how vast and open the world is. Like, I'm pretty sure it would like I'm pretty sure you would love that. And like for a lot of world builders, like I'm pretty sure for like a lot of world builders like myself, like just everything that like everything that game kind of entails when it comes to, like I said, the scope of everything. Like like when a character is introduced, from what I know, like it's not just a simple backstory. Like there's so much complexity behind it. Like whether it's, you know, A2, 2B, 9S, or, you know, some of the bosses too, or anything. Like there's so much like personality and history with each character. So I can imagine, it was probably hard for you to choose. Like it was either like A2 or 9S.
Choosing between 2B, 9S, or A2, between which one I think is like the better character, is fucking hard as shit, because they're all very they're all really complex characters, and they all go through such different journeys throughout the story. I could probably, if we do a follow-up to this, I could probably talk more about the other characters, because like they all have such interesting plot lines throughout the story.
Definitely keep a tab on it, because, you know, just because we talk about like I guess technically our 6 favorite characters here on the episode, like, you know, that doesn't always mean that these are our 6 favorite characters of all time. Like we have like whole lists full of favorite characters, right? So I guess with that all being said, this should come to the end of part 2. Thanks guys for joining me and discussing your favorite characters. Definitely I'd love to do a follow-up on it. And thanks to everyone who's been listening. You guys like know where to find us. Our social media would be down in the description below, as on top of, like, you know, where to find our personal Instagram, social media, all that stuff. Maybe some information on upcoming projects. I don't know yet, but we'll see. I guess, like, because we've already done like honorable mentions beforehand, I feel like as a final send-off, I want to do something a little bit fun. I won't partake in it because, or actually, I will partake in it, but I want to give each of us 30 seconds, just 30 seconds each, talking about Manon, who is, I guess, between the 3 of us, the best girl. So, are you guys down for that?
Yeah.
Okay. So,
can I not go first?
All right. Do you want to go last?
No. Let's let Gabe go last.
Okay. So I'll go first. All right. So, gonna start my timer, or I'm gonna start a stopwatch. So, I guess going into, like, I'm not gonna, like, it's 30 seconds, so I'll try to stay wary of spoilers, but let's go. I'm the first one. So Manon is, bar none, I think, the best character of Throne of Glass. Her introduction is incredible. Her look is really stunning. Like, I think more so than any of the other characters combined. Like her white hair, gold, amber eyes, whatever, the red cape. Oh, incredible. Her story arc especially is like, I think the most engaging one out of the entire book. And like, she could have her own series and I'd pick it up immediately. Right. I think that's pretty much on the dot.
Okay. Shall I go then?
Yes, you have 30 seconds.
I'm doing my own stopwatch because, again, lag.
Okay.
Okay. So yeah, Manon, gorgeous character design. She's got really cool, I mean, she's got a fucking wyvern. We've already told Gabe that, so that's not a spoiler. She's got a really cool character arc. She has so much potential for like so much growth. She's definitely the first character that like really, really caught my interest in the books. And she's one of the ones that I've continued to like, even as my like of the books has gone downhill. I don't really have anything else to say, so I'm just going to talk till my time runs out.
Perfect. I love it. All right, Gabe, you're closing out the show.
All right.
Do you have your own timer?
Yeah.
All right. Ready when you are.
Manon, more like man off. I don't know anything about this character, and I was basically just looking up character art when like everyone was talking about it, and I saw her, and I was like, well, that's it. I'm reading this fucking series. It's got exactly like my favorite type of character, like the Lady Maria, Ash from Overwatch type character. It's just pinpoint. We did it, boys. We did it. We got the character that I like. Boom.
The fuck does man off mean?
Because she kills men.
Oh.
It's true.
Very true. All right.
I was thinking about that the entire time, and every time I thought about it, I was like, that's a stupid joke. I shouldn't say it. But then I was like, that's a stupid joke. I should say it.
Yeah, I'm glad you did.
One of the best character entrances in any book ever.
Absolutely.
She just murders, like, she just slaughters a bunch of men. Great.
Yeah.
I don't know what the context is, but
as any queen should.
She's got crazy long nails, and she has like white hair that always looks good when you're like killing people. So it's like,
told Gabe about the teeth yet? Have we told Gabe about the teeth yet?
Yo, does she got crazy teeth too?
That's a surprise.
Okay. I will wait.
Okay. So, with all this being said, thanks everyone for tuning in. We'll see you on the next episode, whatever we end up discussing. So, yeah, that's it from us. Have a good night, everyone. Goodbye.
Peace.
Good night. Bye.